Welcome back to the Plus Side of Nashville, everybody. My guest is registered dietitian and the author of Schedule Me Skinny, Sarah-Jane Bedwell. And Sarah-Jane is also the spokesperson for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and she definitely knows her stuff. And we're always delighted to have you here.
Thanks, Tawanda. It's always good to be here, for sure.
Thank you. Well, we were talking earlier about being a mindful eater, so being conscious of what you're putting in your mouth, but also the choices that you make are very, very important.
Very important. And sometimes it's hard to make those choices, so we want to try to make it easier on ourselves to make those good choices.
And so you say, to make it easier, folks, we need an organized kitchen. Why is an organized kitchen so important?
It's so important because it helps us to make sure that we do have those healthy foods on hand, and that we don't just have them on hand, we have them easy to access, so people can really enjoy them and have them and throw something together in minutes instead of having to try to figure out a plan at the last minute.
Okay, so we're going to tell you 4 tips that Sarah-Jane says. It involves, you know, your refrigerator, your pantry, how you can be organized and therefore make these great healthy choices in the kitchen when it comes to putting your food together. The first tip, it involves food placement.
Yes, it does. So a lot of people say they don't want to eat healthy because it's going to cost a lot, or they buy healthy food and then it just goes to waste. Well, one way you can make sure that that doesn't happen is to practice what's called FIFO, F-I-F-O, and that stands for first in, first out. So the first things that go in your fridge need to be the first things that you take out of the fridge. So for instance, if you buy some, let's say some yogurt, and you still have some yogurt in your refrigerator, but you're just stocking up so that you don't run out before the end of the week. Well, that older yogurt, you need to pull it to the front of the fridge, put the newer yogurt in the back instead of just throwing it in, and that way you'll eat that first yogurt before it goes bad, and then you'll still have the new yogurt to have later in the week.
I love that. That makes so much sense, because often I just have all my yogurts. I don't even know which is my newest. I don't know which is my oldest. I just reach and grab one.
And if some of those get pushed to the back, then you're not going to eat on those before they go bad.
That's very true.
And so then, you know, you're going to end up wasting it.
And that's a money-saving tip for us, you know, as well. You know, we want the freshest things to stay, you know, in the back, and the older things to stay in the front, so we can go ahead and get those out.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the second tip is more about convenience.
Yes, so, you know, you really want to make those foods easy to grab, those healthy foods. And so keeping them, you know, in clear containers. Already chop up your vegetables at the beginning of the week, keep it in a clear container at eye level in the fridge. That way when you open up the fridge for a snack, the first thing you see is a healthy choice. So you're more likely to grab something if it's easy, if it's already cut up, it's easy, and you can see it. So you want to make those choices easier. Also, instead of having, you know, a bowl of candy out on your desk, maybe keep some fresh fruit, like an apple. So that's the first thing that you would grab rather than the candy. Now, we all are going to have a little sweets around the house, but keeping them, do the opposite, keeping them in an opaque container. See, I can't see, so I'm not tempted just by the vision of seeing that candy out on the counter if it's in an opaque container. Sometimes I even put it in the freezer and just get out one piece, you know, to have later, or I'll keep it like up on a tall shelf in my laundry room. So I have to really think about it and make the effort to go get it versus just grabbing a piece every time I walk by.
I love that, because I think I'm like you, if I had to put that in my laundry room, I wouldn't be as apt when I go in the kitchen and looking for a snack. I like that idea, because often I will have a craving for, like, oh, I'd love to have some celery, but I gotta wash it and I gotta slice it and all
that. It just seems like so much work.
It does. So already when you bring your stuff home, just go ahead and do it right
It's already out, so you can just go ahead and do it, chop it up, get it done, and then you don't have to think about it the rest of the week.
Okay, that sounds great. And then also, you have a clever way of organizing your snacks and your treats, which we just talked about. Put those in and then the fourth is, you say each shelf should be designated to a particular food group.
Yes, so in your refrigerator, you know, you have 2 top shelves, 2 bottom shelves, maybe some drawers. You make each one of those shelves to one of the major food groups. So you keep all of your dairy, let's say, on one shelf, your fruits and vegetables on one shelf, your meats and proteins, they should always go in the bottom of the fridge, just in case those packages leak out. You don't want the meat juice to leak onto your fresh vegetables. So always put those in the bottom. And then maybe you have a shelf where you keep, you know, some cooked grains. For instance, maybe you make some brown rice at the beginning of the week, or maybe you keep your bread in the refrigerator. And so you have a shelf to each food group. And then when it comes time to making a balanced, healthy meal, just pick one item from each shelf and you will have a balanced, healthy meal.
That makes so much sense to me. I don't know why I never thought about that, but I love that idea.
Because then it keeps you, it keeps you in line with getting all your food groups in a meal, and it also makes those items easier to find and easier to reach.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and tell folks, of course, your book is called Schedule Me Skinny, but then you also have a website where you have lots of great information.
I do. It's sarahjanebedwell.com, and so it's easy for people to get tips and recipes, and I also have a blog on self.com. It's for Self Magazine.
Wonderful. Well, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for coming, Sarah-Jane. I always learn so much from you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be a mindful eater.
Yes, and organized.
And organized in the kitchen, because I love that idea. I'm going to definitely try all of them. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, up next, a preview of the Tennessee Performing Arts Center's production of Kinky Boots and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. You don't want to miss those. We'll be back with more right after this.